In this tutorial, we are going to be building a Shopify store from complete scratch, walking through every single step that you need to know so that by the end of this tutorial, you are going to have a fully built Shopify store ready to launch and start selling products. My name is Corbin. Let's jump right into this tutorial. So the first thing that you are going to want to do is check out the description down below. There is a link there for a free Shopify plan trial. And then after that, it's only $1 a month for 3 months for a specific plan. So a really good deal to get started with your Shopify store. Basically no risk there. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go through and enter our email address and hit start free trial. Next, Shopify is going to ask you a bunch of questions. This is mostly just for their data. You can go in and answer these if you want. Usually I'll just go through and skip these and basically get right to the actual nitty gritty. Then we'll ask where our business is located. I am in the United States. And then we can go through and create our Shopify account either through email, Apple, Facebook, or Google, whatever you would prefer. I'm gonna go through and just sign up with Google here. So then we're gonna go through and sign in here. And from there, it is going to take us to our Shopify homepage dashboard. So this is the Shopify dashboard here. You can see in this left-hand column, there's lots of different things to go through and navigate. We're going to be going over a lot of the ones that you need to know in this video tutorial. The first thing that we are going to do is actually go to pick a theme for our Shopify store. So we're going to come over here to online store. And then from this point, you can see it has the current theme of Dawn. You can stick with this Dawn theme if you would like, but chances are you are going to want to customize this a little bit more or maybe choose a new theme to begin with. So you can scroll down here and you can see there are some popular themes by Shopify that you can go through and add. So there's 4 of them right here. Or if you wanted to see more of the themes or all of the themes available to you, you can go through and visit the theme store. Now inside of this theme store, you'll notice that there are some that are free and some that are paid. Most of the paid ones are over $300. Some you can get a little bit cheaper. So depending on your budget and what you are looking for, you may want to go through to this left-hand side and do specific filters. For this tutorial, we're just going to be clicking on the free ones here. And you can see there's lots of different options here. And honestly, you can't really go wrong with any of these themes. I think they all look really nice. Some of the ones that I personally like is this Sense one. The Dawn one is a really popular one just because it is the default inside of Shopify. So a lot of people really like that one. Origin also does a really good job, and Refresh is good here as well. And for this specific store, we are going to be building a watch store, the store that sells watches. So I'm actually going to be going with this Origin one right here. I think it's a good starter one for something like watches. So we're going to click here, and then from this point, it's going to ask us to try this theme. So you can either view it in a demo store or you can try it right away. We're just going to go through and try this theme and add it to our store. So once you've gone through and added the theme that you wish to use, you'll notice that it will be put here in this theme library. Now it's important to note that this isn't your current theme yet. You need to go through and publish that theme and switch it out, because you can see here the Dawn theme is still our current theme. So in order for me to make the Origin theme my theme, we're going to go through and hit publish here, and we're going to say publish. And then now you can see Origin is the current theme for our store. And of course, you're not going to want to just take these templates and publish your store from this point. We do want to go through and customize them and add some branding to our specific site. So in order to do that, we're going to come over here to customize. And this is where you can actually go through and start moving elements around. The nice thing about Shopify is it is a lot of drag and drop elements. So you don't need to know coding in order to customize these kind of stores, which is really helpful, of course, and why a lot of people use Shopify for e-commerce. So now I want to run through all the settings that you need to know inside of this page editor, because this is where you are going to be spending a lot of time when it actually comes to building out your store. So it's important to be familiar with what you can and cannot do in here. So we're going to start in this very left-hand top corner here. You can see that the pages are built out into a couple different sections. You have the header, you have the actual page template here, and then you have the footer. The header and the footer will be added to every single page on your website, and the template in between is what you can customize on that specific page. So you can see in this example right here, we are on the home page, and if we go through and change elements on this template, it will only change it on that specific home page. If I go through and change things on the header, it will add that to all of the pages inside of my Shopify store. So something to keep in mind there. Now inside of the header, you have a couple of different options. So you can see you have here this announcement bar. This is this top part that says welcome to our store. Inside of here, if you ever wanted to remove any elements inside of Shopify, you can either delete them outright, or if you wanted to just hide them for the time being, you can click this little arrow and you can see those will disappear. Now, if you wanted to go through and add an announcement bar, you can click into the announcement bar, and you can see in this right-hand side, it's going to show you some of the things that you can do to customize the bar. And I'm going to quickly remove myself out of the picture here so I'm not getting in the way of any of the settings here. But you can see this allows you to go through and change any of these settings in the actual announcement bar. And then inside of here, there's this little subhead that says welcome to our store. If I wanted to go through and change the text on this, I can click on that and actually change the text over here. You can see welcome to our store. I could change this to like a very common thing is like free shipping in US or free shipping worldwide. You can go through and add something like that here. Or you can add something like 30% off store wide, just to give you an idea. And you can see you can add multiple inside of this banner if you wanted to. And you can even have them go through and rotate automatically every 5 seconds or 3 seconds, 7 seconds, whatever you wanted to do. So now that we have our welcome bar all situated, we can now come over here to the header and click on the header. From here, you'll notice when I click in it, once again, it opens up these settings in this right-hand side here. From here, what we want to do is edit our logo. So you can see you can edit your logo in the theme settings. We can click here and it's going to take us to an area to edit our logo. You can also get here by the theme settings in this left-hand side, just a heads up. But we're gonna go through and select an image here and upload images. And I just have some pre-uploaded images inside of here. So we can go through and select our logo. And you can see now our logo is added. It does look a little big up here in this area. So you can go through and change the width and the height of the logo. So desktop logo, you can see you can go through and make it taller or bigger. We're gonna probably put it right around there. And while we are in the theme settings, we might as well go through and add our favicon for our image. If you aren't familiar with what a favicon is, you can see here Shopify has theirs. It's when you go through and you're looking at the browser, browser tabs here, there's a little logo here. So we're going to go through and select this image and we're going to add this as a favicon as well. You wanna make sure this is a square image. So now when you go through and open up your website, there next to the store here, you'll see the little favicon. Now inside of the theme settings, you can go through and set specific colors as well. You can see there are specific schemes that Shopify already has, but if you wanted to go through and add your own custom scheme, you can go through and change the colors to whatever you would like it to be. For me, I'm just going to be sticking with the standard colors here. Same thing with the typography. You can go through and change out the fonts, layouts, animations, buttons, all sorts of different customizations that you can do inside of here. For the most part, a lot of people will leave this custom to begin with, so I'm not going to go deep into these different settings here, but I wanted you to be aware that they are here in case you wanted to edit those. Now from this point, we can then go through and I always make sure that I am saving as I am going through and building these pages to make sure that nothing doesn't get deleted by accident. And in order to get back to the view where we were at before, we can just click on this sections page. And now we are back to the spot where we can see the header here. Now, for whatever reason you didn't want a header or the logo there, once again, you can go through and click that and it will disappear. We're going to add that back in right from this point. Now we come down to the actual meat of the page, the template here. And a lot of times when you are working with a new theme, there may be a lot of stuff in here that you may or may not like say these testimonials. So chances are you may want to come over here and find the testimonials section. And you can go through and either delete the entire thing or the sub ones here. So if I wanted to delete this, I can click on that and you can see that is now gone. I don't really like the reviews here, so we can click that as well. And the image banner as well, I don't really like that. So we're gonna go through and click this. Chances are you kind of wanna start from a little bit of a blank slate here. And also, as I mentioned, you can go through and close out any of these and get rid of them. So we're actually gonna get rid of this rich text here and this multi-column. And this is going to leave us with this one. And you can see now that leaves us with these two sections, the rich text here, which I'm actually going to go through and delete as well. And then we have this featured product section. Now Shopify won't let you go through and actually delete every single section inside of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to add a new section. And for the very first or your homepage, there's lots of different things that you can go through and add. And of course you can customize this to however you would like it to. Personally, I like to either go with the image over text here or an image banner. I think that both of those work really well, or even a slideshow if you have lots of images for your product. We're going to go here with the image over text. And you can see it's going to add this little section for us. Now I want this section to be on top of this one over here. So in order to move the section up, what I can do is grab this little part right here. And you can see I can move it all the way up to the top. And now that is the first thing that people see when they come to the page. Now that I have a section inside of here, I can now get rid of this featured product. I actually don't like that. So I'm going to go through and delete that one there. So now we're going to go through and actually add an image to this Shopify store here. So you can either go through and select one of your own custom images, or in this case, because this is demo shop, we're just going to explore some of the free images here. As I mentioned, we are going to be selling watches. So I'm just going to search for this watch category, find one of these that I think looks nice. We're going to go through and grab this one right here. And then now we have this image of the watches in place. We can go through and hit select there, and that is going to add the image into our store. Now from here, you can go through and change lots of different settings. You can go through and adapt the image so you can have it either be small, medium, or large. For this one, we are going to be having a medium image. And then as you go down these settings here, you can see you can change lots of different things such as the desktop image width, or you can go through and change the placement of it. So you can have it be over on this side, image second, image first, whatever floats your boat there. So I'm just going to quickly run through these. We're going to keep it in the middle position. We are going to do the desktop alignment here in the center. And one thing that is important to note as you are going through and making these changes, you can go through and look at this on mobile as well if you wanted to preview what this looks like on mobile. So you can go through and get an idea on that. Most of the time I'm going to be editing things in the desktop, and then once I'm done editing in the desktop, I go back and check on mobile, but something I do want you to be aware of. And then here you can go through and add image behavior as well if you want like an ambient zoom or something like that. You can see it kind of just goes through and moves in, gives it a nice little luxury effect, or scroll in on zoom. So you can go through and zoom in on the scroll. Then you can go through and change the content alignment. We're just going to keep that on left. Now we want to go through and edit the image with text over here. So you see I just click on that and it allows me to go through and change the text here. So we're going to go through and grab some text. And we're just going to highlight that and replace that there. And then same thing with the text down here. So we're gonna go through and highlight this, and we're gonna grab our new text. Now that I see this here, I want to make this title a little bit smaller. So I'm actually gonna go to the heading size here and make this so it fits all on one line, just like that. And also I want to break up the colors here. You can see right now it just goes into this kind of tan color into the other one. So I'm gonna actually come back over here and I'm going to change the scheme over to this kind of blue here to break up the colors a little bit to give it another section. Now you can see here now we do have this button label. So you do want to click on that, and we want to change that over to shop now. And then here's where you can go through and paste the link. So you can send them to one of your other pages that is already pre-built inside of here. So you can see you have things like your collections, products page, blog post, policies. Chances are if this is an e-commerce store, you are going to want to send them either directly to a specific product or to a collection. So we're going to send them to the collection page, to the all collections is what it's going to be. And if you don't know what collections are or how they work, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to actually use those now. So we're going to go through and set up our first collection. And in order to do that, you're going to want to come back over to the Shopify store. You can either open up a new tab here or hit exit, and you want to go back to your main home tab here inside of Shopify. From here, then you can go over to the products, and then we're going to go through and set up our first collection. So you can click here, and then you can see there's this little home page section. You can leave that as is, or you can delete this if you'd like by just clicking right here and then clicking on these three little arrows and then delete collection. You just leave it there though. We're going to go through and hit create new collection here. And we're going to give this a name. So for this watch store, we have smartwatches, we have pocket watches, and we have luxury watches. So we're going to call this first one luxury watches. And a lot of time for descriptions, if you are not sure what to write or you need a little bit of help or to jumpstart, a lot of times I will come over here to ChatGPT and I'll just say, can you write me a description that is a paragraph? And just say, can you write me a description that is a paragraph about luxury watches? A lot of times it may give you a little bit long of an answer. Let's see how long it gives us here. And this is going a little bit off the rails. So I'm going to say, can you give me a 3 to 4 sentence? And here you go. Now it's giving me something a little bit more of what I am looking for. It's like a kind of generic description about watches. Like I said, use this when you need to. Of course, if this is a real store, you're going to want to go through and write a lot of these things so they match the description of your actual product. But for this will go through and work. And then over here, you have the option for the collection type. You can either manually add products to this collection or automate this by certain rules and conditions. We're just going to stick with the manual option. And then we do want to add an image for this specific collection. So we're going to come over here. We're going to grab one of our luxury watch photos, and we will add this image onto the description here, or to the collection. So then we can go through and hit save here. And at this point, your collection is now created. You are going to want to go back and put products into your store. We're going to come back or put products back into your collection. So they're actually products inside the collection. So I will be coming back to that in a minute. Once you're in here, you're going to want to go through and create all of the collections that you need to. So we're going to hit create another collection here. Okay, so now I've gone through and created 3 different collections here. So I can see that by going over to the collections in this spot. And you can see I have pocket watches, smart watches, luxury watches. You can add collections for whatever you'd like to. You could even do things like bestsellers or new releases. Whatever kind of collection you want to do, feel free to go through and create those. You can see though right now we have 0 products in these collections. So in order to add products to our Shopify store, we're going to come over here to the products. And this is where you can go through and add products. So we're going to click right here. And from this point, we are going to go through and fill out all the information inside of this. We're just going to call this watch the Lux Ace 8. So we're going to go through and give that a title. We're going to add in our description here. And this is where we can go through and upload our media or images of the watch. So we're going to come over here to our luxury watches and we're going to upload this here. And once you've added the images, then you can come down over here to the pricing and set the price that you want the watch to be. So we're going to put this at $129, and then you can do the compared app price. This is basically just going to say that the watch is on sale. So we could say that it is usually $159 and it will show that price, but the current price is $129 basically. You can actually go through and put the cost per item. This will give you an idea of your profit and margin for selling this particular item. So let's say that this costs us $35. You can see that our profit is going to be $94 with a margin of 72.9%. And then it does have the tracking inventory here. You can see how many are, you can put how many are at the location. So let's say that I have 35 of these watches on location, and I can either say to continue selling when out of stock or to not do that. Now, most of the time you aren't going to want to have this checked because it can create a problem where you're doing a lot of refunds and pissing off customers. So most of the time I do not continue selling when things are out of stock. And you can see here, it will ask the weight of the product. We're going to say that these are 1 pound basically, or if it's a digital product or not a physical product, you can uncheck this here. But for this one, we are going to call this 1 pound. This will be helpful for when you go through and set up your shipping, depending on how you are wanting to do that. You can add other customized information here, but we're just going to leave it with the weight. Then you can go through and add variants. Now, this is something that probably a lot of people are going to be doing, especially if you're selling clothes or different things that have lots of sizes, colors, materials, or styles. Now, this one, we're going to pretend that we have different colors here. So you can see I can go through and do a black watch, add another value. We have the gold one, and then we have the white watch here. And then we can go through and hit done. And now you can see you can go through and change the price depending on the color and the availability. So if say that I only have 10 of these and maybe 13 of these ones, I can go through and specify that, how many are available and how many are on hand. Then I do want to scroll back over here. This is what's nice about creating the collections before you create the products. Now we can go through and come over here to the collections and we can add this to the luxury watch collections just right there. And the last thing, if you wanted to go through and change any of the search engine listing here, you can go through and make sure that this looks all good on search engine results. We're gonna go through and hit save here. And then once you have gone through and hit save, it is important to actually scroll back down here. I don't know why it's this way, but you do want to come back over here and now go through and change the image for the black, gold, and white. So I can go through and specify a specific image here. So if this is the black one, I can hit done here. The gold one over here, I can add gold, and then I don't have one for the white image, but you kind of get the idea. You want to make sure that you go through and add those color images. So when people are going through and selecting the color, it's showing the right color for them. Then we can go through and hit save here. And then we are just going to go through and repeat that process until we have all of our products uploaded. So I'm going to go through and add some more into these other collections so you have an idea of what the store looks like with all these collections in here. So I'm just going to come back over here to products, click on that. You can see there's the product that we had. If you ever need to go back and edit that again, you can click here and it will take you back to this page where you can go through and edit those products. We're going to come back over here to products and hit add one, and then just go through and repeat that process. Okay, so now we have our products here and then we have collections all built out. So now what we can do from this point is we can come back over to our Shopify store. And when somebody actually goes to the collections page, it's going to take them to a page that shows all of those collections. But we want to showcase that on our home page as well. So we can go through and over here and add a section. This is where you can go through and find and here we're going to go through and add a featured collection. And from here, you can see it's going to give us a section where we can go through and edit our featured collection. You can go through and change out the heading here. So if you want to change this over to like bestsellers or something along those lines, you can go through and do that. The heading size, you can go through and make that a little bit smaller. I prefer that right there. You can add a description right here if you wanted to. So you can see this is what that would look like underneath there. And then here there are description styles that you can go through and change, either the body, subtitle, or uppercase as well. But right here is where it is very important for you to actually go through and select the collection that you are wanting. So we already went through and created these collections. So we're gonna go through and hit the luxury watch here. Now you notice that I only have 3 watches in this specific collection. So what I can do from there is I can select that, and then I can come over here to the maximum product shown. And instead of showing 3, I can have this show, or instead of having showing 4, I can show 3, and that's the max product shown, and then numbers of columns on desktop. I want that to be 3 as well. And then that will go through and change this out here, and then make products full width. That way it fills up the entire bottom spot here instead of just kind of looking like a blank space, especially if you have products that are product collections that are a little bit smaller. And some other things that you can customize down here, ones that I think are important or you might want to know, is you can go through and adapt the ratio here. A lot of times I keep it adapted to the image, because sometimes if you have different size images, it can look a little weird. These are all the same images, so it looks okay, but we're going to adapt to image. And you can go through and change the shape here, which can look nice. It can be nice to customize depending on what your theme looks like. Generally, I keep this on the default though, but sometimes the round is often used as well. Kind of looks nice here to go through and change that into the round. And actually, I think I'm going to stick with the round for this specific view. So now we have our hero image here, and we are highlighting some of our best sellers. From this point, what we can do is go through and add more sections. You can of course customize this however you would like to. One of the things that I think looks really nice here is this multi-row view on the bottom here. So we can go through and add that. And then we can go through and just highlight some things about our specific watches and go through and add the images there. So I'm gonna go through and fill in these spots, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Okay, and now I've gone through and added just some of the images here, changed out the shop now buttons, changed those out for shop now buttons, and then added the images. Once again, if you didn't want to add as many as 3 here, you could go through and hide a specific section and only have 2. And then from this point, you can go through and add as many rows or as many sections as you want to this homepage. To me, I think this is looking really good. I think we're off to like a good start here and a good foundation. So we're gonna move on now to the footer. So if I click over here to the footer, one thing that is very important for e-commerce, especially if you're gonna be running ads to your site, which I imagine most people are, is that you do have the privacy policy and all of the policy links linked on your footer. So you're gonna wanna click on the footer section here, and you're going to want to click on this show policy links. From there, you're going to see that once you click that, that policy links are not yet generated. And that's because you haven't yet generated them inside of your Shopify store. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here to the tab that we have open for inside of Shopify. Before we do that, actually, let's go through and save this to make sure that we don't lose any of our progress here. And we're going to go through and generate all of the policy pages that you need to add at the bottom of your Shopify store. We're going to come over here, and we're going to come over to the settings in the left-hand side. And the great thing is that Shopify has made this as easy as possible, basically. So we're going to come over here to policies, and what we're going to do is go through, and you can see we have the return policy, written return policy. You can create from a template here, and then Shopify will generate just a standard return and refund policy. Now you will want to go through these and make sure that they do apply to your return and refund policy, but this is a great template to start with. Same with the privacy policy. You can go through and create a template here, and then you see there are notes here to go through and update specific things inside of this. So be sure you do go through and read this and change out anything that does need to happen, but this is a great starting point. Same with your terms and services and your shipping policy. So here you will have to go through and add just a standard shipping policy, and then your contact information. There aren't templates for these, but you can just draft up something really simple. So now that we have all of those generated, we're going to come over here and we're going to hit save, and that is going to save those templates for us. Then we are going to come back over, we're going to exit out of this. We're going to come back over now to our online store here, and we are going to come to the navigation. From the navigation, we are going to click on the footer menu. And all we are simply going to do is delete. We don't really need this search one here. We're just going to delete that from that. And we're going to add a new menu item. And you can give this a name if you'd like. We're going to go through and grab the policies that we just created. So we're going to come over here to search or paste link. We're going to click on policies. And then from this point, you can go through and select all of the policies that we just created. So then we're going to go through and grab the next one. So we're going to grab the contact information. Then we have the privacy policy here, add that, and then just go through and repeat that process till you have the full footer menu. Okay, so now that we have all of these in our side of our footer menu, we can now go back over to our store here, and you may need to give this a quick little refresh. Make sure it is saved before you do that. And then once you go through and refresh that, you should see the links showing up in your store. If not, give it just a second and they should pop up here. And you can see here now at the very bottom, there is our refund policy and all the different policies that we created. Once again, if you don't see this, make sure that this is saved right here. Another thing that a lot of people forget to do as well, that I forgot to mention, is you do want to go through and save this menu and make sure that is saved. And those should be in there on the bottom. Now, while we are here inside of this footer as well, I don't really like to subscribe to our email list on the homepage. It's not something that I'm wanting to opt into. So I'm going to actually get rid of that here. You can go through and customize this a little bit as well by enabling follow on Shopify. So you can go through and get rid of that if you'd like to as well. And you can show social media icons, or you can also go through and get rid of the show payment icons there as well. Totally up to you on how you want that to look. You can go through and change the spacing and padding on this depending on your theme. And now let's scroll up to the top and let's actually talk about the header here. So you can see inside of the header, you can go through and change the logo position. So if I wanted to be on the top left instead of in the center, you can go through and do that. I prefer in the top left personally. And then this is where you can go through and select your menu. Now, when you go through and click here, you'll see that you have the main kind of menu showing up here. So you have the home, catalog, and contact. If you wanted to change that, we can do it the same way we did with the footer. So if you scroll back over here and then let's go back this way, we are in the navigation. This time we are going to come to the main menu here, and you can go through and delete any of the ones that you don't want to use. So say that I didn't want to send anybody to the catalog page, I can go through and delete that, or the home page, you can leave that there, or you can go through and add menu items. So for this instance, you can go through and send them to a specific collection. Let's say that I wanted to send somebody to the luxury watch collection. I can go through and add that inside of there and then save that menu. And you'll notice when I come back over here and then make sure this is saved, give this a quick little refresh, and we're going to, everything's all loaded up. We're going to reload here. And now you can see we have luxury watches here as well. And some other things that you can do with this menu is you can go through and change it to have either a drop down, a mega menu, or the drop down. You can't really tell the difference here because you'd hover over it and there would be a drop down on those. Or you could have it be the drawer here where it's just you click down and then you can go to the menu, which is what I prefer for this specific theme here. You can have it be a sticky or always on scroll. I do want to come back over here to show you these different options just though real quick. And then you can enable different things, like you can change the padding inside of here, and you can do the on scroll always or reduce logo size basically on here as you go through and scroll like that. So lots of different options that you can do with the header. So now we have our home page and our header and footer pretty much all built out. The next important thing to go and look at is some of the other pages on your store. Now, depending on how big your store is, some of these pages may or may not be important, but for all stores, the product and the collection pages are ones that you're going to want to go through and look at and make sure that you are happy with the way that they look. So you can come over here to the default product view, and you can see this is what the default product view is going to look like. Now, chances are you may be happy with this, or you may want to go through and edit a lot of things. The photos that I have here aren't great, so it's making this page look really ugly, especially with these theme colors. But you can go through and change this. But keep in mind, when you do go through and change things on the product store, it will change it for all of the product listing pages. So if I wanted to go through and delete something inside of here, so for instance, my store, I can click on this and I can go through and actually just delete that right from the beginning, or I can move things around and change the theme around just like you would on the home page. So if I wanted to go through and add a specific section, I can go through and add a quick order list or image with text, show sliders. But keep in mind, when you do go through and add those, it's going to change it for all of the different product pages. Now in this left-hand side, if I wanted to change to see what this template would look like with a different product, over here you can go through and change and select a specific product. So let's say that I wanted to see what this looks like with this specific one. You can see this is what it will go through and look like. Or if I wanted to grab one of the ones that I have multiple pictures on here, let's grab this Lux AH watch here. You see I have the full description here, the price being listed, and then all of the product images that are related to this style. Now if I wanted to go through and get rid of anything over in this right-hand column, you can go through and of course customize that. You could get rid of the title completely if you wanted to, or the price, the product ratings, descriptions, variety picker. So this is important if you do have multiple colors. So you can see here when I go over to gold, white, or black, it is changing the color of those depending on how we set up the product in the previous step when we went through and did this product here. You go through and add the quantity, add to cart, and then a buy now. A lot of times this share button, I just go through and get rid of that as well inside of there. And then once again on this footer, it is showing the email subscription. So we're just going to, we're going to get rid of that as well, and then go through and save those settings. Now, if you wanted to add your own custom page that isn't in one of these default product pages here, it's very easy to do so. We're just going to make sure you save before you leave this page. We're gonna come back over to My Shopify. You're gonna come over here to the online store, go to pages, and then from here you can see there is the option to add a new page. So you can click here on add new page, and then from here you can go through and let's say that I wanted to add an about me page. Then you can go through and add the content here. My name just something like that, and then save that page, and then it will be inside of the default editor. So when we come back over here and we give this a quick refresh, make sure everything's saved before you give that refresh, and then we come back over here. Now we can see we go to pages, there is the default pages, and there is my About Me page right there. Now at this point, our store is just about ready to launch and get ready to start getting sales coming through. But what we do want to do, or what I like to do before I give this full write-off, is I do like to just scroll through all the pages on mobile. Now, when you are on mobile, there are some slight adjustments that you may want to make. So for example, when we come over here and we look at this featured collection, you can see because I have a 3 on desktop, it looks kind of good, but here it kind of just looks like something is missing. So I may want to go through and adjust that a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here to this little number of columns on mobile, and I'm going to switch this to 1 column on mobile. And now you can see it's just kind of a continuous scroll where it's a bigger picture here, which looks a lot nicer. So that's just an example of something that, looks good on desktop, but you're going to want to go through and change it on mobile. So I'd recommend going through all of your pages and just giving this a quick look over to make sure that you are satisfied with the way that it looks on mobile. So now we're going to come over here and we are going to hit save. And now it's time to actually go back to our store and get the password removed from the store so that we can actually start sending traffic to that. So in order to do that, what we are going to do is come over here to preferences. And when you come to preferences, while you are here, you may want to go through and add your homepage title. So we're going to call this Key Watches, and then make sure you go through and add a description as well. You can go through and add social icons here inside of it. And then we're going to scroll down to this spot that says password protection. Now you'll notice that in order to remove the password, you do need to go through and pick a plan. So we're going to go through and choose a plan here. We're going to click on this and then leave this page. Make sure you save that. I forgot to save that there, but make sure you do save that. And then here you can go through and choose a specific plan. You can see the most popular is the basic one here. There's lots of different options. You can kind of go through it and decide which one of these is best for you. We're just going to choose this basic plan. And as you can see with this deal, we are going to get 3 months for $1 basically. And then after that point, it will be $39. So we're going to go through and fill out our information here. And once you've gone through and chosen a plan, there's a few more different settings that you want to make sure you go and set up. So we're going to come over here to the left-hand menu into the settings. And then inside of here, you will want to go through and give your store a name and then add the phone number inside of there as well, and the billing information. Make sure you are in the right time zone, and then the unit system is correct and the weight system. And what is very important is these payments right here. You're going to want to make sure you go through and set up the payments. And you can see here, there are lots of different ways that you can have people pay through Shopify payments, Visa, MasterCard, all these different things. You can go through and complete the setup there. Or if you wanted to use PayPal for whatever reason, you can go through and set up PayPal to charge people through PayPal as well. So once you've gone through and set up your payments account, then you are going to want to move over to shipping and delivering. Inside of here, we're going to click on this rates for, and then click on this little arrow right here. This will allow us to go through and edit our shipping zones. You can see there is a default shipping zone here for the United States and for international shipping. So if this works for you, and if you like these kind of shipping zones, then you could leave this as is. However, a lot of times you may want to go through and create your own zones or delete these. For this example, I'm going to be acting like I'm giving free shipping to everybody in the US. So what I'm going to do is actually go through and delete these 2 zones right here. Delete both of these, and we're going to create a new zone. We are going to call this US free shipping, and then we are going to search for the country here. We're going to call this United States. Done. And then here we need to go through and add the rate, and you can see you can set up your own rates or use carrier rates as calculated by these specific ones. We're going to use our own rates. We're going to call this standard shipping, and then the price is 0 here, and then hit done. So now we have free shipping to anywhere in the US. I do also want to call out here the taxes and duties. Oh, we want to stay here. Make sure you do go through and save those before you do leave. But I do want to call out the taxes and duties as well. Now, I am not an accountant, nor do I pretend to be by any means. So do make sure you consult your CPA or whoever on these kind of taxes and how you want to go through and set those up. But did want to make that disclaimer there to don't ignore this tab. And the last really important thing to look at here is the domains. So if you come in here to domains, you can see right now the Shopify store is just this ugly looking URL, 8e8b myshopifystore.com. Now there's 2 different things that you can do with this. You can either buy a new domain directly from Shopify, or you can connect an existing domain from one of your hosting providers. The easiest way, of course, is to buy a domain here inside of Shopify, but if you already have one, then you can go through and do that. Now this is going to vary depending on who your hosting provider is. So you can go through and click on connect on domain and then follow the steps from there. You can see they have different instructions on how to do that as well, or you can buy a new one right here, search for your domain, and attach that to your store. Now, after you've gone through and set up that domain and gone through all those settings, your store is now pretty much ready to launch. However, I would highly recommend that you go through and give it a preview, not only on desktop, but also mobile as well. And in order to do that, you can come over here to your online store, click on this little button and view your online store. It's going to take you to a tab where you can actually see your site in the wild. Go through and click all the buttons. I highly recommend going through and clicking all the buttons because, for instance, you can see here, I know for a fact that this one, you see it doesn't go anywhere when I go through and hovered over it. So I didn't connect those buttons there. So you want to go through and click all those, make sure that everything works as well, works properly. You can see this is what it's supposed to look like when you go to the collections and you look at those. You want to look at the product pages to make sure that you're happy with the way that they showed up and the way that they look, and maybe even try going through and checking out as well. And once you've gone through and confirmed that everything is working, the last step is to start sending traffic to that beautiful new website that you've just created. Congratulations on your new Shopify store. If you found value in this video, don't forget to subscribe on the way out just for more Shopify content and e-commerce content in general, and we'll see you in the next one.